Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to meet you all. I'm Khadija Rahman Tanji, Associate Professor, Department of Business Administration, and the moderator for today's event. So, I would like to welcome you to this seminar on achieving supply chain transparency in the era of COVID-19. So, this seminar is organized by Faculty of Business and Entrepreneurship, Daffodil International University. I'm delighted to announce the speakers and the discussion chair of today's seminar. So we have with us Dr. K.M. Lois, Vice Chair of ILO. So welcome, sir.
Hi.
Hello. And we have Dr. A.K.M. Hussein, Senior Lecturer, Shanxi Normal University, China. Welcome, sir.
Hi. Yeah, thank you for having me here.
Thank you. And today's session chair, Professor Dr. Muhammad Masoom Iqbal, Dean, Faculty of Business and Entrepreneurship, Daffodil International University. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Staying safe and healthy. So, since it is all, well, business and it is essential to company success and customer satisfaction, but the COVID-19 global pandemic caused this significant disruption in many businesses supply chains in the different parts of the world. So on this note, I would like to ask Dr. AKM Hussein that how would you clarify the supply chain transparency and how this supply chain transparency can be achieved? And at the same time, we also want to know about the supply chain strategy in the era of COVID-19. So the floor is yours, sir.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me here. And before starting my actual presentation, I would like to thank the Faculty of Business and Entrepreneurs, the Daffodil International University, and Honorable Dean Professor Masoom Iqbal, sir, and actually head Dr. Khadija Rahman Tansi, and others for putting this webinar today. And furthermore, I would like to also express my special thanks to Dr. K.M. Louis for taking some time, out of your really, the busy schedule. Thank you so much for having me here today. Well, basically, I have been working on this topic called supply chain transparency and green supply chain management in terms of green technology and development, quite like, since 2019, actually. So, to measure increasing, the interest of this subject or topic, you can say that, due to some sort of special fact, I would say that the continuous pressure from the government and user stakeholders and the customers, from different aspects of the region, actually, in terms of the complex supply chain, the process. So I'll just try to, take you guys back in 2020, the year actually, unlike any others. So the COVID-19 pandemic, brought the significant changes to everyday life across the world. It also brought some, some significant challenges to business from retail to restaurant and manufacturing at the same time. So the supply chain industry faced challenges like, the no other when the shutdowns began and the manufacturers were left scrambling to come up with a backup plan. So the challenges was tough to handle, by the way, due to some sort of a special reason. So due to this, the challenging time. So in order to, to make sure transparency in the complex process of supply chain management, we have to have some sort of initiative that has to be taken by the companies and industry at the same time. So, well, there is some traditional way to increase the robustness of the supply chain to increase inventory buffer, but that is expensive, I would say. So in later action, I'll try to show you some sort of the examples and the real scenario that I have to come up with so far today, throughout my slide. So this is what actually the scenario actually, so far actually, I have just come up with. So let me just share you my screen so that you can just, come up with my things. Just give me a second. Can you see my slide?
Not
Hello?
yet. Yes, I didn't see the slide yet.
Just a second, please. I'm sorry for the interruption. There is some sort of the permissions. I have to.
Dr. Mohsen, we can also, cover without slide if you can continue. So it's okay, I think.
All right. So, but there is some sort of information actually, I have covered so far. So, is it okay if I just send you my slides then so that you can share for me? Come on, why it's not working?
I think you can continue with your without slides. That's okay, since it's a conversation.
Okay.
So we can do.
Okay. Sure. All right. So, as I told you that, the real scenario that actually we're facing today, along with the supply chain transparency in associated with the COVID-19 pandemic. So the pandemic brought some, the real focus for manufacturing in making sure they are becoming more transparent within their, the supply chain process. So they are realizing, thanks to this, disruption, that suppliers can always, deliver, and backup plan is crucial to keep things moving. So this is what actually we have seen so far since last year 2020, when the shutdown happened, when everything was shut down and the manufacturers were scrambling, since they don't have that sort of backup plan to cover up these challenges at the right time. So when the pandemic started, by the way, so there was a very tight time to handle, because some companies and industries we have seen that they don't have proper, the innovative business plan that associate with the technology that actually come up with a different type of technology. I would try to mention two of these here. Actually, one is blockchain, another one is RFID. There are so many tech technologies, other things. So these actually associate with the, the business model, by the way. So, but the industries and companies struggling more since they are not, the capable with this kind of, something like that. So this is what actually is happening, and so. And I would say that, that sort of challenges, that the companies and industries are facing today, just because of, three things: that the lackings of the operational activities, the proper operational activities, and there is some sort of the insufficiencies in terms of the capabilities of the technological management. Another one is the cultural things as well. So I would like to explain all those things in the later, actually, with different sort of examples. So now, if I come with the question that why we do need transparency in supply chain management, and why actually we have to care about transparency in supply chain management. So this is actually, this is actually, what actually we are seeing actually here, that the transparency and supply chain. So both are integrated together when it comes to the process, the whole chain actually. So why we do need to care about it? You probably know some sort of high-profile incident that happened actually in the last few decades. Last 2 decades probably. One of them is the Rana Plaza collapse in Bangladesh. Another is the factory, the boiler explosion in Bangladesh, and labor abuse in some other company like Foxconn. So I would say that this sort of incident taught us something really we need to care about transparency in supply chain management. So if you ask me what sort of things actually we have learned from that sort of incident that happened in the last 2 decades, that Rana Plaza collapse and the boiler explosion and some other things. Yes, of course, that incident taught us really very important fact that we are facing today, which is that the lackings of transparency in supply chain management. there is some social and environmental impact also in our supply chain health. And also it proves that we have a little knowledge about to practice transparency in supply chain management. So these sort of examples actually illustrate like how actually the transparency can have help the companies or industry, companies or industry, to be sustainable in the market and to be the market leader to cope up with their the innovative strategy at the same time associated with the transparency in supply chain management. Probably you guys already know in back in 2020 November, the big number of global brands like Nike, H&M, Zara, and some other companies, you can name many of them, they have fought in front of UK Parliament and they had to ask, the many questions. They had to answer so many questions about their transparency in supply chain. How they actually, cope up this transparency and how they actually, the combat this transparency into their supply chain process. So there is so many things actually come up with these sort of like, the companies and industries. They're a global brand actually, you probably know about that. So there is some sort of lackings in terms of like, you already know that the modern slavery in supply chain management and that there's some sort of like, the leverage man, special companies like Nike, the very complex supply chain process. And there is almost, I would say that the transparency is almost disappear in terms of their supply chain process. So these examples actually teach us that how important the transparency is when you come up with your sustainable supply chain process. So I would say these examples actually, reveal the important issue that we need to have transparency in supply chain process to be sustained in the market, to make the visibility and to make it more visible to the consumers at the same time, to make like sustainable business. So yeah, there is some sort of examples actually I have tried to cover in my slide. If I can share my slide, that would be really good. But since there is some technical issues, maybe I'll able to show it up. Yeah. So, but if I start with an example, of fish. So can you guys imagine like fish is a very, very, very common thing, right? We all know about fish, right? We are eating fish almost every day, every day, almost every day. It's not something strange that, come on, I don't know fish. We all know fish. So let's start with this example of fish. We can go to supermarkets, we can go to, the local market, we can go to restaurants to have, to eat fish, to buy fish, something like that, right? It's so easy to have fish, around us because everywhere actually we can buy this fish. But have you ever asked yourself, or chances are very low that the person actually, to whom you're buying your fish, who will, can tell you the exact information that from where this fish was caught and, who got transported to you and, where precisely it was caught, you catch. So whether it was sustainable to catch the fish in that time and whether actually it was sustainable to buy, something like that. There is a lot of information is missing. But nowadays, with the technological advantage, you can easily, track your, what is called the information. It's easy to grab your information with a single click. Since everything is like, come up with the technology, you can think with a single click, you can know your finance, what you are precisely on the map. So everything is available. But I would say that the transparency in supply chain management, when it comes to the consumer product, is completely disappeared. Study found 97%, out of 1,700 companies, they don't have proper visibility in their transparency. And there are 1,500 companies, they have 50% of visibility in their transparency. That's so alarming for us. That's really alarming. This study has been, come up with the Consortium 2016 that has been published by Australian University, something like that. Yeah. So and another study found, which is like just recently published in 2020, December. Another one is November. They have come up with some sort of information that still the companies like the global brands Nike, H&M, Zara, and some other brands like they are still struggling with their transparency. That's so alarming. That's so alarming for the planet. That's so alarming for the fellow humans as well. So now you can ask me how actually, how do you explain that that's going to be alarming for us, by the way. So as I told you that fish example, right? You will be shocked to know that there are 90.6 billion US dollar annually harvested. We are giving to the criminals to harvest fish for us. That's really, really, that's the information I have collected from the recent journal. That 29 point something, I just forgot the actual figure, billion US dollar we are giving to them, the criminals, to harvest fish for us. You can say how? Yes, of course. The fish were not sustainable to catch in that time, but they did it. The fish were not supposed to catch in that period, but they did it. The fish was not supposed to transport it. The fish was not supposed to, what is called, the export it in a specific period of time, but they did it. That's I would say the criminal harvested, the fish we are eating nowadays. So this is just fish. Think about every kind of soup. Think about every kind of minerals, metals, every kind of product that we are having each and every day. So it's just, I would say insane. That's just out of your mind that, come on, we are really just destroying our planet. This is the only thing we have to save for ourselves, right, to survive. But we are destroying our planet. There is some environmental impact. If you can see that the carbon footprint, oh my God, that's really alarming. I would say the China and some other countries that they come up with some sort of the recent studies actually published that one banana can produce the tons of carbon footprint in a day. So you can't even imagine how many people are taking bananas every day. So I'm just focusing on this, the easy products or the easy foods that we are having each and every day. But there are a lot of things there are a lot of the metals things and the minerals things and some others drugs, a lot of things. Those who are directly destroying the planet, by the way. So now the question is, what is the sustainable way to maintain it, right? So there is a very nice way to come up with this. As a consumer, as a human being, as a consumer, if I giving you a choice, I think even anybody in this session today, or probably anybody in this planet, if someone giving you a choice, that okay, fine, if just go for these two products, and definitely you will never go for the wrong product that will destroy your planet, right? Definitely, if you have choice, you will go for the right product that will not destroy your planet. But choice is very loaded word, I would say. Whenever you have a choice, that means you can afford another option. Whenever you have a choice, that means you can afford other options, something like that. So that's really, 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 I would say alarming, and that's really really we need to care about just to be surviving this planet. So yes, so now how to solve this problem? How to solve this problem and where we have to start? Now there is a lot of technology that's already introduced. I already told you that blockchain technology and RFID and some sort of things called tag technology, bar technology, so that you can, if we just associate with that fish example with this kind of technology, we can say that if the fish is caught, you just go for it and synchronize all the information in one single code, the QR code, that all the information is available so that consumer, the stakeholders, anyone can easily see it, the visibility of that information. So once you have revealed that information, the people can make informed decision. That's the matter. The informed decision is really matters here. If you don't have information, you cannot go for making any sort of right decision or informed decision. Right. There is a famous quote, from Calvin 100 years ago. He said, "You can't improve if you can't measure." So if you can't measure, you can't improve anything. That's the thing. So information is really needed here. There is two things I would like to, since my slide is not, working, unfortunately. The challenges of supply chain transparency, right? So there is some challenges. You cannot, it's not so easy to do. It's not so easy task to do that I'm saying that, okay, come on, this thing is destroying our planet, just stop it. No, I can't even survive without eating fish. You can't even survive without eating bananas. You can't even survive without eating like, any other product, the soup or cane or whatever. So how to do these things, organized, or how to try to maintain this transparency in supply chain, in complex supply chain management. So this challenge is really, tough to handle. It's not easy to do. There are some challenges to supply chain transparency. Some few studies have related to subject transparency in supply chain context. I have collected this data from Web of Science and combining the keyword transparency and supply chain, by the way. So, I just combined everything in my slide, step by step, but unfortunately, anyway. So in 2016, surveyed that the 50% of the companies, they actually had no visibility at all. That was happening in 2016, but this number is increasing day by day. It's not improved, by the way. That's really, really, the bad news for us. It's not improved. That back in 2016, the 50% of their companies, they had no visibility at all. But it's still same. It's still same. It's sometimes like fluctuate, but it's still same. It's not like something come up with a very, good initiative that, okay, some, the transparencies come up, visibilities come up, or the supply chain reliance is working properly. Not at all. So if I'm just trying to say that at the same time, like, the improving the visibility is quite costly for a company, for an industry, small company, small industry. They can't even afford the technology like blockchain, RFID, tag, bar, and so on. It's so expensive, by the way. It's so expensive. And if you don't have your innovative business model, that's never going to work. That's never going to work. You cannot associate the business model and the technology together. Say, for example, I have a business, but I don't have a model. Like, I just doing my business, like, by the lot. Say, for example, okay, I invested 1 million. Let's say, okay, if just by life, I will get like, 1.5 million. That's not the business. If you don't have the proper models, if you don't have the innovative models, if you don't update your models in terms of the market trends or something like that, that's a different issue. But I'm saying that you cannot implement the new technology associated with the business at the same time. So this is quite expensive. The study found that 3.5 million US dollar. They have spent just for single quarter actually, just maintaining the supply chain transparency. So that's quite expensive. That cannot afford by every company or every industry. Even they have complex supply chain management. Even they have complex supply chain process. Even they're getting pressure from the government. Even they're getting pressure from the stakeholders. Even they're getting pressure from the end users or some other like the customers at the same time. So this is really the big challenge for the supply chain industry to maintaining their transparency. So let's come up with the types of supply chain transparency. So I would say the study referring to Yang Chong Zhang, she actually the scholar of MIT Sloan, she come up with two different types of transparency that is widely accepted nowadays, which is the first one is supply chain visibility. This is about gaining information and knowledge to practice in supply chain and trying to motivate better practice. So this is the first one, gaining information. And the second one is communication to the public. So whatever you have to communicate to the public. The public, the term here is actually stakeholders, consumers, or the someone actually who needs this information. There is no specific group of people that you have to tag with that. So these two parts is really very important, supply chain visibility and communication to the public. So how you communicate, right? First of all, verify, trace, share. So the trace, verify, and share. So to trace the information you need to have the technology. And to verify it, you have the mechanism to verify it. And to share it, you also need a platform to share the information. That, okay, we are doing a good thing. Not just saying that, okay, believe me, trust me, I'm really good in the market, I'm producing really good kind of products, just get my product away and you will be really feel good. Come on, this is not the way of doing, doing your business, in a sustainable way. So you have to have proper information in every stage of your supply chain process. Let's say once you have the information, you just give it away to your public, your stakeholders, so that they can verify it, they can share it. Once they share your information, your company will getting, the more like what is called, the acceptance from different sort of people. So this is how you can even becoming the market leaders. Even you can use it as a strategy of your business. Now, how the strategy? I'll come up later with an example. How this strategy will work. Definitely, there is a strategy. So now you can say, okay, let's say how you can use transparency as your business strategy. That's very important. And I would say in the context of Bangladesh, I mean, I'm sorry to say that almost every company, that industry, whatever we are having, today in our country, they have to focus on it. They have to focus on it. Even today, from now on, they have to working on it. That's the thing. There are a lot of studies, actually, I have come up with this. Even some studies I have found that Bangladeshi scholars, they have published. That's really alarming. That's really alarming. And now I'm just explaining you that how this strategy can help you to grow your business, how this strategy can help you to make new business opportunities, how this strategy will help you to be in the market, as a leader, how use this strategy to help you to be sustainable, to do your business sustainable way. So let's come up with an example. Do you know Taylor's guitars? Have you heard about the name called Taylor's guitars? Just guitar, the musical instrument. The Taylor's guitar, yeah. Maybe all of us we know about it. The Taylor's guitar, one of the biggest company, the producer. So what happened actually, they are famous for their wood, the materials they need to make a guitar. That's called ebony wood. The color of that wood before black, pure black. That's the specialty of that company. That we are making guitar with a pure black wood. That's called ebony wood. And they source this wood from Cameroon. There is a mill called Cremill, industry. They actually, they have several types of supplier in that region. They collect their raw materials and supply to that industry. And they're making guitar with the pure black ebony woods. So that was their specialty. Back in 2011, what happened? The executive of Taylor's guitar industry visited that mill in Cameroon, and they found some disturbing facts in terms of their supply chain process. What they have found, they talk with the worker, those who are really working with this, the chain, those who actually transferred the wood to them. The workers say, we have to cut 10 trees to get one tree. Can you imagine? Because every ebony wood is not pure black. There are some stripes inside the wood. So they don't accept the stripes wood. They just made the pure black, completely black. So the workers, they don't have the knowledge. This is not their fault because they are not educated that much. They are not aware of the things what happening in the planet. They are not educated that much about the environmental facts that we are facing now, like COVID-19 and some other climate change, whatever unexpected things we are facing now. They are not educated. This is not their fault. So the ebony executives just get shocked. Come on. To get one tree, you are destroying 10 trees together. That has very big impact in the environment, right? So the ebony executive started thinking how to solve this problem. And what they did actually, they actually, they actually bought the whole industry, all that mill, and they tried to collect that striped wood at the same time, with the same price, so that the doctors, so that, so that the workers at the same time, collecting the striped wood to sell at the same price. So this is what has been happening now. The Taylor's guitar company, they are becoming the market leader. How? They are trying to train other companies, other competitors that accept striped wood at the same time. They are now biggest producer and manufacturer at the same time. They are supplying. They are becoming the most valuable supplier in the market. So before they were only just producers, now they are suppliers. They are supplying the striped woods to other companies, other guitar industries. So because they educated the worker that, okay, fine, you don't need to find out the pure black wood. You just give us everything at the same price, So this is how actually, the transparency working. So they use this strategy, just to making a new business opportunity. This is how actually, they are sharing their information to the customers. Now the people are accepting, in a different way, in a sustained way. They are making their business sustainable. So now this is really the specific example I would say that
Dr.
only.
Mohsin, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry for the
Yeah.
interruption. So I think we are, running out of time. So we have to complete within 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah. Let
Okay,
me
thank
conclude.
you.
Let me
Thank you.
conclude. So okay, so these things actually is not same for every companies. We have the big and small companies. There is a lot of example come up, and since the limited of time, actually, I have to conclude. I have to come up and I have to listen to our special guest and honorable session chair, by the way. So just to conclude, I would say that. I would like to just take you guys, other way from this webinar that we have to take care of our planet. Not only just forget about the business issues, but forget about the unexpected the challenges we are facing now, like COVID-19, and maybe the climate changes, the environmental impact at the same time. So I would say that truly gain supply chain visibility audits only for part of the solution to request companies to expand their the toolbox, introducing the new methods. And second, that you have to educate yourself. Like you have to make a strong relation with the supplier. You have to educate them. You have to train them to make it more visible, to make it more transparent. And then you have to install some technology associated with the business model, associated with your business innovative model to make this problem sustainable. To just come up with your the vision that okay, you are transparent, you are visible. Every sort of information that you have that is visible to everyone, so that the people can make wise and informed decisions in terms of your information. So we have to save our planet. That's all. Thank you so much, and see you guys in the Q&A session.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mohsin. It was really, a wonderful discussion and session taken by you so far. And thank you so much for pointing out the most important and basic points related to the current scenario as well. So let's move on to our another speaker. Let's talk about another important issue in this supply chain, that is emergency procurement. So, recent years have witnessed that the pervasive supply disruption and their impacts on supply chain performance, and different research also show that how the manufacturers should choose the best procurement strategy to maximize the expected profit in different situations. So on this note, I would like to give the floor to Dr. K.M. Loy to discuss about the emergency procurement in the supply chain during the COVID-19 pandemic. So Dr. Loy, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Khadiza. First and foremost, of course, I'd like to express my sincere thanks to Daffodil International University for inviting me to give a short talk on something about supply chain, which is related to the transparency in the era of the COVID-19. My name is Loy, KM Loy. I'm from Malaysia. I used to lecture MBA programs some 10 years ago. And today, I'm fully involved in the international ISO level. Yeah. Okay. So a little bit background about myself. I had the opportunity to visit Bangladesh a couple of years ago before COVID-19. I've been to Dhaka twice, and also had the opportunity to meet Dr. Mohsin in Dhaka when I was there as well. Okay. I'm actually a mechanical engineer. I have two postgraduate degree, MBA and also DBA. I'm involved in the ISO standard, and one of the committee or working committee which I'm involved is actually a anti-bribery management system. I have been an anti-corruption advocacy actually since the year 2000, when I served in Transparency International Malaysia as their deputy president, secretary general, and also once the vice chair of this UNCAC, this United Nations Convention Against Corruption. It's a coalition, yeah, which is comprised of about 280 NGO. This is my involvement. Can you all see my slide? Everyone can, yeah? Okay.
Yes,
we can see your slide.
Thank you. This is some of my contacts. A little bit about my, you can reach me. I'll send the slide and probably you can have it. So this is a little bit background. Before I just go into supply chain management, I'm sure we like to know what is this COVID. What is this? COVID-19 is actually a disease, and the virus name is actually called SARS, coronavirus number 2. Yeah, and it was actually discovered in the year 2019, and sometimes it's called 2019 and COVID. This is how the structures look like. This coronavirus belongs to this coronavirus family. Okay, and it looks like it called corona because corona means a crown. So I have this crown spike around here. Okay, and it's a very small, of course, size about 65 micron, and these are some important features of the virus itself. Yeah, we have the envelope.
Dr. Loy, sorry
Yes.
to interrupt you. Dr. Loy, probably
Yep.
you are changing slides, but slides are not changed in the screen.
No? Okay, let me see. What happened?
We are on the first slide in the screen. Right.
Oh, okay. But they are
Thank you.
moving.
Yes, now it is moving.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much.
It's moving now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So this is the slide. I'm just sharing you what is this COVID coronavirus structure looks like. Okay, they have this crown, and these are some of those structures. I'm only go details in this, but they have the spike, they have the membrane, yeah, and other structures. All right. Of course, you can get more details about this coronavirus. Now, commonly, before this coronavirus, we already have what we call the SARS, and it was one part of the initial corona. And this is why it's called coronavirus number 2. It was believed that this corona was developed from either a bat or until today it has not been identified which domesticated wild animal, yeah, that its virus had jumped from the animals to human beings. Yeah, and this is how the timeline looks like. Most of us believe and understood that it happens way back in the year 2019. And by December 2019, China had alerted WHO about these cases. And the first case in January 7 was confirmed in Europe, in France. And then the first death in China was in January 11. And by that time, WHO reported the first case outside of China is in Thailand. Yeah. And throughout this, in February the 7th, the Chinese doctor, and he is actually a whistleblower, and he died on February the 7th. So much so, everybody caught it, and by the March 11, 2020, WHO had declared COVID-19 as a pandemic with more than 100,000 cases and 4,000 deaths in 114 countries. That is the beginning of this COVID-19. But last few days ago, on June the 15th, there's a report came out that 5 states, American states, yeah, have coronavirus infection even before the first case was reported, because they collected some of the samples, about 24,000 samples, tested, and they found that actually this blood sample collected from 24,000 citizens from 5 American states have the presence of such virus already. So today we are in the limbo. Where is this COVID-19 started from? Okay. Today, worldwide distribution of the COVID-19, the latest figure on 2 days ago, 18th of June, globally is about 177 million confirmed cases and 3.8 million deaths. Bangladesh has about 844,000 confirmed cases and 13,000 more deaths. Malaysia is very close. We have only about 678,000 confirmed cases, and our death is about 4,000. Today in Malaysia, we are actually under a lockdown stage. Yeah, complete lockdown stage at the moment. We restricted travel and also businesses as well. And I believe today there's a new hierarchy, the Maslow hierarchy of needs. And it's very important that beside what you believe is that today safety is important. And not only stay safe, but stay at home, but also be safe as well. So this is the little background, what is this COVID-19 is about. And supply chain. We adopt this basic supply chain right from the extraction to manufacturing. This is the product life cycle. And once the manufacturing is completed, it sends for distribution, packaging distribution to the end user. Yeah, and that's the end of the line. But with the COVID-19 coming in, that's already affecting the whole supply chain. Okay. These are few slides which I used to teach 10 years ago under the export and supply chain management. Just to recap, when you talk about supply management, we also look into the planning, the asset management, procurement, life cycle, and logistics. Besides procurement, logistics is one of the most important activities of the supply chain. This is the basic supply chain which I used to teach 10 years ago. And we start from some raw materials that comes in, very attractive, and they becomes a supplier. They supply the raw material to the manufacturer. They produce this product. Once the product is completed, they send it out to distribution center, and customers receive this product. That is a simple basic supply chain model we are talking about. And if you go more complex, of course, there will be from the supplier, either the extractive, and to the manufacturer, to the warehouse and distribution center, then to the customer and user as well. Between the cost is important. Yeah, not only the material manufacturing and inventory cost, but the transportation cost. Transportation is one of the most important activities in the whole supply chain. And supply chain, where the transportation, this is the mode of transportation, and this is the slide I used again many years ago. Mode of transportation: air, water, motorway, rail, pipeline, and intermodal. Intermodal means the mix of all types of different types of the transportation. This is another slide I used to show. Of course, before COVID-19, the air route was so massive, called dense, and it covered almost globally every inch of the earth. But today, the air route is, of course, you believe and I agree that this is so much different now. Similarly with the sea route, red lines to see the heavy and popular route along the Atlantic and Pacific as well. And of course today, the sea routes are surprisingly still very massive, but there are some delays in the transportation as well. I'll explain to you later. Take for example, there's one hub in China. This global hub is actually in Guangdong, South China, and the port is actually in Shenzhen. And the seaport handling export to Europe and then to the US as well. So the mass production in Guangdong is one of the very industrial area. Yeah, a lot of factories, and they send out product cost and to the customer. And this is just one example of the sea route. Today, the global shipping line, has been exhausted by this pandemic shock. It add into inflation pressure, delivery delays, and even today, just a week ago, the container terminals in Shenzhen, China, there is already a backlog. And this backlog is really worrying because of the congestion. And the backlog in Shenzhen here is about 6 weeks now. When there is a backlog, there is always a stoppage of the delivery of product or raw material from one end to the other. And when there is a backlog, containers are not taken up, delivered to the destination, goods be taken out. Empty container cannot go back into the supply chain, right? And this bottlenecks, is actually now causing a lot of issue problem to the whole supply chain, because with this COVID-19, not 100% people are working at the same time now, at the same speed. This Shenzhen terminal port handles about 13 million TEU containers a year. In Malaysia, we have our own port, which two ports handles equal amount of about 13 million, also 13 over millions of TEU in the year 2019. However, in the year 2020, at the peak of this COVID-19 pandemic, the first half of 2020 was the most challenging part, as everybody realizes it. And this shipment containers was almost held up. No logistic, no transportation for the first half of the year 2020. However, towards the third quarter of 2020, volume pickup, logistic is better, and movements are there. So at this moment in Malaysia, we have two ports near 50 kilometers out of Kuala Lumpur are handling almost 13 million TEU as well. And among those supply chain, all other products that we can think of and we can address. But one of the most important, crucial, critical part of supply chain is actually medical product. Be it in medical devices or drugs as well. So this healthcare sector is considered one of the most important supply chain, which has been actually, has a great impact caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. Even before COVID-19, there are corruption cases, lack of transparency in the healthcare sector, right from the registration of their drug, selection of the drug, procurement itself, distribution, and also the delivery services. There are already some lack of transparency in this supply chain. Corruption, bribery, do happen in this sector even before COVID-19. There are also healthcare fraud to the hospital, nursing home, some kickback paid to be admitted to the hospital, ambulance services, doctors, even medical supply, medical devices, equipment purchase, pharmaceutical, there are bill insurance, even screening patient screening fraud to exist. And what more, today we realize that fraud are even getting a little bit more out of hand. Healthcare fraud is always been associated with theft of medical supply, informal payment to the governmental organization, embezzlement, public and private sector extortion. Yeah? So much so the illegal procurement of the public healthcare contract. Okay. In Cambodia, for example, as much as 5% of the public health budget is lost every year to the fraud practice. Similarly happened to the UAE as well. Also 5% of the healthcare claim are fraud. And in the state, a study says estimated that the total amount of fraud for each convicted physician amounts to 1.4 million. So every physician, there is some estimated healthcare fraud of about 1.4 million. These are some studies. And today with the COVID-19, it already gives us a big magnitude impact of the quality of our life. So this pandemic have a great impact not only on our economic activities, but also result in recession, which will affect the unemployment, poverty, and inequality as well. And today, we still don't know where there is a light at the end of the tunnel or not. And some predict that this pandemic will probably be around for another 12 months or so. And how do we going to address this issue when it comes to the supply chain? What would be good practices to address this transparency as well? The most recently, just less than a month ago, the Transparency International Global Corruption Barometer, which carried out a survey in Europe. It was conducted from October to December 2020. Surveyed about 27 countries, target the respondent of about 40,600 people. And they identified that healthcare is a corruption hotspot. So much so, and as much as 29% of these respondents indicated that they rely on personal connection to get medical care. And 6% of
Dr. Loy,
40,600. Yes.
Dr. Loy, can you hear me? Okay,
Yes.
sorry for the interruption. Dr. Loy, we have, you have
5 minutes.
2 minutes. 2 minutes.
All right.
Okay,
So
thank
quickly,
you.
I just share with you this barometer in Bangladesh as well. With survey shows that about 60% rely on personal connection and 13% paid right for service. Now, during this pandemic, quickly I like to share that because there are also indicators that there are threat of transparency in supply chain. Philippines paid about 288 million, yeah, which is insurance denied illegal. Corruption case, embezzlement case, held in US. UK paid about 240 million for defective PPE. And Romania, again, face mask, procurement failure. So these are some of those things that happen. But Nigeria, the NGO also uncovered public procurement graft, yeah, in that area. So today I'm trying to say that we have to address the public procurement. And among them, there are 2 models or 3 models of public procurement that we can follow. Yeah, the United Nations, the WTO, or the European Directive on Procurement. And India has adopted this United Nations model. Singapore adopted the WTO model. And this public procurement helped us to address, to minimize the the what we call proper procurement. And this during COVID-19, we have to establish a proper emergency procurement. And some of the study shows that a lot of procurement risks are paying for high price, and some of the supplier are multi-purpose supplier. They are not specially trained supplier, yeah, and they have inexperienced supplier to supply medical product. And so, and the summary I like to stress here for the last 2 minutes is that we need to have complete information about the contract, information about the supplier, and also a concentrated and coordinated purchasing center. Standard document has the modified procurement regulation and also provide feedback mechanism as well. So this is not something important, but lastly, I just want to stress that yes, supply chain today affected by the supply chain. They still the material, there will still be shortage of material. Labor is another problem, people losing employment. Sourcing is another challenging part. Logistic, as far as the supply chain is concerned, we are facing problems. And lastly, the consumer itself, they may not get the right and the quality product. So with this, ladies and gentlemen, I think I just had to cut short my presentation, and I look forward to question and answer. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Dr. Loy. It was wonderful lecture, wonderful discussion. It would be better if you get more time, but we have running out of our time. So I have we got one question. If some root level producer are not in the priority list of chain market giants, is it like they will be in marginal situation? So yes, so Mizanur Rahman, he's one of our faculty member. He actually asked this question. So Dr. Mohsin, if you would like to answer, just 1 minute, within 1 minute, you can answer the question. Your microphone is switched off. Please switch on your microphone. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir, for your last question. That's a good question, by the way, which is, I would say that exactly associated with the topic today we have described so far. The question was, if the root level producers are not in the priority list of chain market giants, so it's like they will be in the market position. But first of all, producers are in the first topic level in chain giants. It will always serve as the higher topic level. Here actually, that's a very good question, since I have a lot of things to describe in a different way, but since time is too short, I just come up with two very simple examples. One is like Goodyear chocolate. If you heard about this chocolate name, Goodyear chocolate, another one is the Nike. Or you all of know about this. So Goodyear chocolate, they always care about their root level producers. And it's associated with the different chain. The whole chain, if you just consider, from collecting the materials, even, they are not actually believing on the subcontract things or something like that. So the first topic level, they're always like, care about it. So that's going to give them the transparency. So this is not will create a marginal situation. That will definitely harm the visibility of the company. So the marginal situation, we cannot just take them as a marginal. That has the importance, the potential to consider them as an important aspect of the whole chain giant. So the thing is like, the priority is actually depends on the nature of the business and how the regulation actually, that come up with the whole business model and ideas and innovation. There is a lot of real life examples that I have, I can come up with if I have time, sure. So I would say that it's not like we cannot just give them the marginal situation back. It definitely has some sort of potential and importance in terms of if you just consider them, as a priority base, the whole giant. So,
Thank you, Dr. Mohsin, for addressing the question. So we are almost at the end of our seminar, today's program. So now I would like to give the floor to our today's session chair, Dr. Mohammad Masoom Iqbal, Professor Dr. Mohammad Masoom Iqbal, for summarize the discussion and conclude the seminar. Sir, floor is yours.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Khadija Rahman. First of all, I'd like to pay thanks our today's speakers, Dr. Kim Loy and Dr. M. Mohsin, for your insightful discussion, informative, using all the vivid examples, concurrent and contemporary examples. And I strongly believe that your discussion will be very useful for the individuals who are watching this program, especially our students who are watching this program and listening to us. Probably today we are running short of time, so this time is not enough for this discussion, and I hope we'll be having another session if we are getting time from Dr. Kim Loy and Dr. Mohsin, and we'll be organizing another session to have more discussions on supply chain, its importance, its transparency in global context and in our context, I mean Bangladeshi context. By the way, so to understand supply chain, do you know what I do? I look at a bicycle, in fact. To know supply chain, to understand the importance of a supply chain. If I look at a bicycle, what you see, each and every bicycle has a chain. And if you look at the chain, you'll find a lot of components are connected there are so many connections in the chain with some hooks. If there is any problem in any connection of the chain, the cycle will not move. It will just get down. If the connections work properly, the cycle moves and it flies in a sense. So now I take it to the companies. So this is what supply chain is to a company. And it shows the importance of supply chain to the companies. The better we can manage supply chain in a company, the more efficiently we can sell, the greater the company can become. So this is that important to a particular company. As we are talking about supply chain transparency, as an individual, as a consumer, we are becoming so responsible day by day across the world, more enlightened, and we are concerned about the transparency of supply chain of the products we are eating every day as a consumer, we are wearing every day, we are using it. And one interesting research finding I can share with you, as Dr. Mohsin was talking about MIT and so on, a study shows that the customers are willing to pay 2 to 10% more for the products they're getting from the companies which are providing more transparency, greater transparency of the supply chain. So this is the reality. At the same time, Dr. Mohsin has mentioned that in our country, say, the companies are probably not all transparent as a customer we are expecting from the companies. Definitely they are not all transparent. Probably they don't understand the reality, what customers are expecting from the companies. If the study shows we the consumers are willing to pay 2 to business houses which are maintaining transparency in their supply chain. So it's a very big opportunity, I believe, to the companies. If the companies are becoming transparent, probably it will give you the some more good name, and they can become repeated, and their products will be more marketable, and customers will like their products. At the same time, as Dr. Mohsin was saying that, yes, there are so many companies which are not transparent in our country and so on. It is not our context. It is everywhere in the world, probably. But there are so many, at the same time, there are so many companies which are so transparent. They show each and everything, each and every stage of the product supply chain process. But you'll be happy to know that if I'm talking about the RMC, ready-made garments of our country, if you see the most reputed at the top globally compliant factories in the world, you'll find most of them are from Bangladesh, and many of them are Bangladeshi companies. So it is an indication that probably we are not maintaining transparency in all the companies in our country, but there are so many companies which are trying to be transparent in their total production process and in their supplies and process and how they're delivering their goods and services to the customers. So still, Definitely, say it is a matter of understanding. And so long the companies, the CEOs of the companies can understand the emergency, the importance of supply chain, probably they are not applying the whole understanding of supply chain and transparency of supply chain. But today, tomorrow, I believe the companies will take this opportunity, as we came to know, as we come to know that customers are willing, or customers are willing to pay more for the products from the companies which are maintaining transparency in supply chain. So as we are running out of time, so I'm not taking time. Supply chain, it is a very, it's a burning issue nowadays in business and in all the sectors. As Dr. K.M. Loy was talking about pharmaceuticals, hospital, not only pharmaceuticals, hospital, each and every company must be transparent. And it is our right as a consumer. We'll have to know the products we are consuming from different business houses, different companies, how all these products are procured, whether they're maintaining all the standards, the people who are working inside in the companies, whether they're having the right standard of living and so on. As a consumer, it is our right to know, because we are buying products from these companies, all these companies. So what do they do? And how they're managing all these things? It is our right. So customers are getting aware of this, and probably in coming days, the companies will have to be like more transparent in their supply chain, in their production, and so on. So the students, those who are going to be the future managers, those who will be leading all the companies across the world, they must have the understanding of supply chain. And I believe from our today's discussion, our students has an understanding about supply chain, its importance, and its transparency. And I hope we'll be having another session with these two gentlemen, with this two research person, for the better understanding of our students. And with these viewers, I would like to conclude here. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Professor Dr. Mohammad Masoom Iqbal, for your concluding remarks, wonderful concluding remarks. So thank you, our respected speakers, for your valuable time, and our audience. So I would like to also thank our technicians for their support. So thank you, everyone. Stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you.
¿Por qué hacen